All right, we are getting set up here. Okay. Accountability versus support. So that is what we're focused on today as I get everything organized on here. All right. Hydrate. Let me see. Okay. All right. And get started here. Okay. Okay. So we're talking about accountability versus support in today's live. And this is something that is coming up a lot in conversations, mostly because people aren't sure about the definitions and what they really mean. And I wanted to talk about this because as a coach for executives and people who really want to improve their career trajectory and or their business, having support is great and having accountability is for achievement. So, as you are navigating your relationships, your accountability partners, it's really important to understand the difference. So, the statistics show that 65% of the people, 60 or 65, I can't remember, percent of the people who write down their goals achieve them. 95% of people who have accountability around those goals with people achieve their goals. 95% of people with accountability achieve their goals, not with support, with accountability. There was a catch. There's a catch with accountability. The important thing is with accountability, to be successful, to be a part of that 95% achievement, you have to feel like the other person is somebody that cares about your direction, actively is rooting for you, will actually hold you accountable. And the biggest part was you had to respect them. You had to respect them. So if you are pairing random people together in your organization to have accountability, and they don't necessarily have that type of relationship, this is not going to work for you. It's not going to work for them. Can that accountability grow over time? Sure. However, if you're really wanting to move the needle in your business, in your goals, in your health goals, in your life, in your spiritual activities, in anything like that, you would benefit from writing down the goal, getting an accountability partner that you respect and that you know wants the best for you. And so, for example, I have an accountability partner. We have a phone call every Monday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, like clockwork. And we talk about our top 3 things that we're focused on achieving in relationship to one of our goals for the year. So we have a major goal we're both working on. And every week We have to be doing tasks related to that goal every single week. Now, are there weeks where we don't hit those? There are, unfortunately. However, we're able to support each other through it. And I think one of the important things is to give yourself permission to find those people that will challenge you. So when we talk about accountability versus support, support is really personified as a cheerleader. I feel like I can say this because I was a cheerleader too. Um, and when you are thinking about support, somebody who is going to give you that adoration, somebody who's going to look at you and say, "You can do this. I believe in you." That is support. An accountability person can also give you support. But what accountability does is they're going to ask you why you didn't hit it. They're going to ask you what worked. Somebody who's supportive of you are going to say, "That's great. I'm so proud of you. I'm happy. This is good." They're also probably going to give you slack when you don't hit your goal and when you don't move forward. They're going to be the ones that give you permission to eat the pizza when you are really wanting somebody to be like, "Do you really want that?" You're allowed to because you're an adult. You can eat whatever you want. And you asked me to remind you. Do you want me to do that right now? I always tell people that making your significant other the only person that holds you accountable and also gives you support can be very challenging for them and not really super duper fair. I have several people in my life that hold me accountable. I have my accountability person I just talked about. I also have some really good friends that I've had since college who have a lot of very similar interests. We have very different interests, but also very similar when it comes to growth, professional development, drive, interest in economics, a lot of those things that impact our lives directly, and money too. We have an interest in having, a comfortable life. And so we hold each other accountable. We also give each other support. We are not able to hold each other accountable all the time. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships, as well as expectations of how we are supposed to be as people, we do hold each other accountable. I respect them and I know that they want the best for me. And they're going to ask me what worked, how did I get there, and what it looks like for success. So that is one of the things that I want you to remember as you are learning to navigate real achievement and goal setting. Because as you grow in your career, in your business, those will actually change. Who's supportive of you in the beginning may not support you later on. Who's not supportive of you in the morning may be the ones holding you accountable later. Those can shift. I'm looking up, trying to find my, I think there it is. So there's different types of accountability. And this is something I'm going to be talking about in a new offering that I'm going to have. We're going to have an accountability container. We're going to talk about different types of support needs and behavior psychology. So when we talk about accountability, we need to understand motivation. That's a part of accountability. We need to understand executive function and follow through. We can get really excited about a new goal and a new direction and not follow through on anything. And this is a part of when people say don't tell your goals just to everybody, because there's two big reasons why. One is that sometimes people just don't need to know. They don't deserve to know. The second reason is because you might already feel like you've completed that goal. All the dopamine, all the excitement and novelty is gone. You've processed it already in your mind and you don't really want to do the work. It doesn't mean that it's not something that you're interested in or passionate about. It just means in that specific moment, those goals are not going to be hit. So as we learn about behavioral psychology, as we learn about accountability versus support, it's important for you to understand motivation, how your executive functioning works, and follow through. I also have notes because I have ADHD. This is how I stay on track. The second thing we want to think about are what are our support needs? So when we're thinking about support versus accountability, one's not better than the other. It's depending on what you're needing in the moment, right? Sometimes you need accountability. So I have somebody for my business also, like I've got several points of accountability. which is great. And they're all very amazing women who are phenomenal at keeping me in check. Let's just be real. And they keep me focused and on point and asking me wonderful questions. Those are my accountability people. Now, I also need and deserve support. When I am having a day where I'm struggling, I can reach out to my partner. I also have some circle of friends who are like, you are doing the hard work, you are putting in the time, and they're very encouraging. And sometimes you need that encouragement. So knowing what you need is a part of this. So there's a difference between support and accountability. So understanding what you need in the moment is a big growth opportunity for us as people, professionals, entrepreneurs, leaders, or employees. Because if you go to your boss with a problem, they're paid to figure out challenges. That is literally their job. So if you constantly are going them with a problem and really what you're needing is support, learn how to communicate what support for you looks like long term, what you need from a boss. And so you can use phrases like, I work best when, support for me looks like, and fill in the blank. If you're not sure, I would recommend some reflecting on that, because that is something that you as an adult would benefit from knowing, even with a partner, with kids, with people in relationships, and going from there. So the third thing, we've got behavioral psychology, understanding executive functioning, motivation, and follow through. That's a challenge for a lot of people. What support needs look like for you, as well as persona modeling. So this is interesting. So this comes from UX, UI design, user experience design, especially, and leadership development. So basically, it's helping people categorize what they need and responses in a relatable human way. So it's kind of coming up with your own persona and figuring out what that person looks like for support and accountability. This does not mean that you create an AI and you only use that. Is it a tool? Absolutely. And we do use AI in my coaching groups. And it is an incredible tool. You learn to work with it. It can't be the only isolated thing that you utilize. Okay, so from here, what I want you to do is when you're thinking about support, when do I need support? When do I need accountability? Think about your goals, what you want to achieve over the next quarter. It's the very beginning of April tomorrow. This is a great time to reflect and say, what have I not achieved? What would I like to achieve? And what is coming down the pipe? Okay. So think about what's coming in the upcoming quarter and what is outstanding still. That's where accountability can be the biggest help. Also, calling you out when you're overstacking your desk. I mean, really, if you saw my papers around here, but if you are overcommitting to things, somebody who is big on accountability will sit here and say, that's not okay. You're going to want to rethink this. Now, support, if you see some stuff coming up in the next couple of months where it's going to be a struggle, it's going to be an uphill battle, what does support look like for you? How can you get where you want to go? What does it look like long-term to come home to a partner who knows what your support needs are, who knows what it looks like for you to come home when you're exhausted, and they give you the time and the space that you need to simmer down, transition into home from working? What does support look like? So there are some different accountability archetypes that I wanted to share with you when you're thinking about accountability. There's somebody that might be I'm calling the motivator, energy, their encouragement, someone who checks in with you, who is also a little bit more of a support. They're very much, you got this vibe. They are also best for people who lose steam, forget their why, or thrive with emotional support. So if you are somebody who benefits when somebody is looking at you and saying, you're doing great, keep going, the motivator accountability person is there for you. They have a little bit of support in there, but they're also going to say, like, how are you doing with this? What is going right? What is going wrong? I believe in you. They're going to be there for that. The second one is getting into the corporate girly in me, which is called the tracker. This is somebody who likes data, likes the structure, consistency. This is for somebody who is able to provide a clear message in the process. They're going to have checklists, they're going to have trackers, they're going to have deadlines. This speaks to me on my corporate level after working almost 20 years in and around corporate world. I am a spreadsheet person. So this is really best for people who are detail driven or need visible progress to stay engaged. I'm not a huge details person. However, the visible progress helps me propel forward. So the tracker, if you're trying to figure out, we're talking about what type of accountability partner you would benefit from having. The third one is the gentle mirror, somebody who can give you honesty, that can give you reflection, and that is grace. That is graceful. So this is ideal for somebody who holds space without judgment and helps you see yourself clearly. So what's working, what's not working, what's underneath. Somebody who is able to hold up that mirror and help you. This is a great coaching opportunity. This is definitely somebody that is probably more of a coach type vibe, mentor type vibe. So this is really good for especially like neurodivergent folks or people who have a lot of overwhelm, anxiety, and they have a lot of pressure going on right now. Somebody who's able to hold up that mirror and show them. Okay, the fourth version of accountability partner that you might want to look at is called the collaborator. Somebody who shares their goals too. So it's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. They are real time. It could be a co-working buddy or someone doing the same thing alongside you. And their vibe is very much the let's do it together. We're doing this together. That's my accountability partner that I have on Monday mornings at 8 a.m. They've got their goals, I've got mine. We ask each other questions, we give each other feedback, and we go from there. So if you are somebody who gets stuck starting, love external structure, and needs a rhythm, the collaborator type accountability partner would be for you. A lot of people think accountability looks one way, and that's not true. That's not true. They think it's like, I've got a buddy, we're both doing something and we're just sharing. That's kind of the collaborator, but there are so many other types of accountability buddies. The fifth one is the challenger. This is something that you have to, I feel like people who can take directness would be in the challenger. So this is where you push, you've got some friction, they really push you for stretch goals. So this is really somebody who is a coach, a friend, a mentor who lovingly will call you out. When you're playing small or making excuses, especially if you are making excuses about work, task completion, you're overwhelmed. If you're making excuses, the challenger will call that out for what it is, and you're able to take that directness and put it into action. Number 6 is the organizer. This is the last one. This is this is somebody who's going to help you prioritize and plan. So ideal accountability for someone who helps you break things down a lot and can get clear on what to do next. There are a lot of coaches that specialize in this. This is something that I work on with my neurodivergent clients and my executive clients frequently. A lot of people, when they get into executive roles, they haven't necessarily worked through major projects before. And so we work a lot on breaking down projects, especially if they're working on educating others and understanding how other people's brains work. And so the organizer will help you prioritize and plan and give you a holistic view and then help you break it down small. Somebody is very skilled in those things. So someone who helps you break those down would be called the organizer. So that's helpful for anybody reaching overwhelm, managing projects, having a really hard time figuring out the how, not necessarily the why. Your why might be very clear, but how to get there is a struggle. So those are the 6 different types of accountability partners, accountability archetypes. I encourage you to think about, what do I need in accountability? Before you dive into one that just sounds good, or you think of somebody like, oh, that sounds like somebody, they could be my accountability partner. Instead, I encourage you to think about what accountability could look like for you based on what you need right now. So you might be an executive who is excellent at project management, but is not really great when you lose steam, when you're trying to do something for yourself, when it comes to starting your own business. So maybe you would benefit from the motivator. Keep going, You can do this. I know that you can. What's next? They're asking great questions. Or maybe you are somebody who is really has a lot of anxiety and you would benefit from somebody who has honesty and is able to be graceful with you. And so the gentle mirror to hold up and say, hold space for you without judgment. Somebody like that. So I would love to hear from you what your accountability archetype could look like, because this is really exciting to me. This is going to be a part of my accountability group to understand what type of accountability you benefit from. What does support look like? How do those two things mesh together? And understanding that those two things can also be very different. And again, please don't ask your significant other or others, whatever, to be both of these things, because people can't be both of these things at the same time all the time. Okay. Answer those questions for yourself. What support do I need? Where am I struggling? Where would I benefit from accountability? Who could help me with this? Who could provide those for me? I'd love to hear it. You can email me. All my information for signing up for a 5-day email course on how to reset your focus is right down below. And that will get you on the email list to hear about this upcoming offer around accountability and how you can better support yourself long-term for the achievement that you really do desire.